Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and today we will be dipping our toes into the metaphorical so-called dating pool, because I've seen a lot of content creators from the Daily Wire and a lot of YouTube content creators saying things like, just find a good woman and marry her and you're set to go to have a great family life. And the red pill response to that is that there's a lot of statistical data that suggests that that is not going to be the case. So why don't all of we together today go through some of this statistical data ourselves, and you can decide for yourself what you want to believe. All right, so first off, I'd like to start with this Twitter post by Sean Tuffy, and he says, "Holy hell, this is unbelievable." And he's posting a picture of a general survey done by the Washington Post. It is titled "Young Male Virginity on the Rise. Share of men under age 30 who report zero female sex partners since they turned 18." And yeah, it starts at 1989 at 7%, goes up and down between like 7% and probably about 15%, a few times between 89 and 2008. At 2008, it's down at 8%. And then at 2018, it's at 27%. And that was 2018, so I'd be willing to bet if they continued the survey on up until present day, that would probably be a little bit higher. And I would say it's probably closer to about 1/3 of all young men under the age of 30 at this point, more than likely. Although you don't have to believe general surveys from the Washington Post, because in 2020, the University of Indiana did this research right here, and they titled it "Nearly 1 in 3 Young Men in the U.S. Report Having No Sex, Study Finds." This article is from June of 2020. Bloomington, Indiana. Researchers from Indiana University say that nearly 1 in 3 U.S. men aged 18 to 24 reported no sexual activity in the past year. Bloomington, Indiana also said sexual frequency is declining in the United States, according to a study by Indiana University researchers. Quote, "Our study adds to a growing body of research that has reported on declines in sex," said some woman, I can't pronounce that name, a research associate at IU School of Public Health, Bloomington, who co-led the study. "The declines in partnered sexual activity seen in our study are consistent with the findings from studies in the UK, Australia, Germany, and Japan." This trend of younger men not having very much sexual contact with women under the age of 30 is not just a US phenomenon, it is also a global phenomenon, and it is backed up by research done by a actual university here in the United States, the University of Indiana to be specific. So, obviously they also mention research from other countries as well. So, there's quite a bit of research on this topic. It's not an isolated research paper. Moving on, over here on Psychology Today, which I guess is a website that reports on psychology stuff. So this guy, Gregory, wrote an article called, or in the relationships category, called "Why So Many Young Males Are Single and Sexless. Relationship Trends Are Jeopardizing Intimacy Skills." And this article is from February 24th, 2023. So this article is just a little bit over a year old, and he had some interesting findings. Let's get into it. So first thing at the top of the article, he's got these key points. And the first one is, recent Pew research indicates over 60% of young men are currently single. Next key point, sexual intimacy is at a 30-year low across genders. And the final key point, men must prioritize real-life relationships attuned to blah, 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 blah. That's just, I don't understand why the third one's a key point. That's just his opinion on why this is happening and what's actually going on here. As you'll see later in this video, his final key point is actually false. So let's continue with the rest of the article. A recent Pew Research study suggests a tectonic shift in the dating and sex life of men. The study found that among men under 30 years old, over 60% are single, almost double that of women in the same age bracket. The first time I read that, I had to read it like a few times to really try and figure out what they're trying to say there. So what they're saying is 60% of men under the age of 30 are single, and then for the women under the age of 30, a little bit less than half of that is single. So about 30% of the women are single. So 30% of the women say they're single, and 60% of the men say that they're single. So that means 60% of the women say that they're in relationships. Meanwhile, 30% of the men say that they are in relationships. That's odd, isn't it? Because you would think that there should be an equal number of men and women who say they're in relationships, because this statistical data is excluding non-heterosexual people. This is only for heterosexual people. So the gays are not throwing off these statistics in any sort of way. So what that means is that we live in a polygamous society, because 60% of the women are dating 30% of the men. Then just statistically speaking, most of those women are probably sharing those 30% of men. And just for point of reference for everyone, this is people under the age of 30. So that's why everyone says that it's completely different with the younger generations than it was from the older generations. Continuing on with the article, not only are young men single, but their opportunities for developing a relational and sexual repertoire have all but vanished. As levels of sexual intimacy across genders appear to have hit a 30-year low, Lay and South 2021, that's referencing a research paper, things are not what they once were. And I would agree, sir, because yes, things have completely changed. Because we went from living in a monogamous society where most people ended up getting married to now living in a polygamous society where only a select percentage of men, the top 30% of men, are sleeping with the majority or 60% of all of the women. And this is a Pew Research study, so, this is not statistical data that can just be dismissed because of lack of scientific consistencies, because it's the Pew Research Center. They do solid research. Anyways, moving on. Over here we have a study that was done by Morgan Stanley. They are an investment banking firm, so they have absolutely no skin in the game when it comes to relationships and stuff like that. They are simply merely looking at the trends happening in society and trying to, make good banking investments to make money on. So, that's if they're predicting something, then that's probably because they're investing in those things that they're predicting in, and they predict that they're going to make money off of that. So that's why I believe there's no reason to doubt any of the data that they've collected here, because, as I mentioned earlier, they don't have a horse in this race. They're just simply sitting off on the side trying to make money. So one of the interesting statistics from this study that they announced on their website, single women are expected to grow plus 1.2% annually from 2018 to 2030, compared with 0.8% from the overall U.S. population. Female Population Projection Index 2010 equals 100. Source: Census Bureau, Morgan Stanley Research. So that is what Morgan Stanley is basing their predictions on, is off of Census Bureau research. And Morgan Stanley is predicting that by 2030, 45% of all women will be single and childless. And they're saying that this is up from 41% in 2018. Morgan Stanley, the investment banking firm, predicts that almost half of all women will be single and childless by 2030. Next, we have a article here by The Guardian. This was published in August 2019. It's titled, "Men Now Avoid Women at Work. Another Sign We're Being Punished for #MeAsWell," written by this woman. A new study has found U.S. men appear to be following Mike Pence's lead. Maybe they're angry at the #MeAsWell ever happened. And basically, the important statistics that I'd like to point out in this article are bullet pointed right here. 27% of men avoid one-on-one meetings with female coworkers. Yep, that's right. Almost 1/3 of men are terrified to be alone in a room with a woman. 21% of men said they would be reluctant to hire a woman for a job that would require close interaction, such as business travel. And finally, 19% of men would be reluctant to hire an attractive woman. And this obviously was a study done in 2019, so I'd be willing to bet those percentages are even higher in this current year because, as we all know, things have just continued to get worse. Nothing's gotten better. I think a lot of the cause of this is the fact that businesses just don't want to deal with the drama. They like, you're there to do a job and get your work done. Like, they don't want to deal with, harassment complaints or like essay complaints or anything like that. Like, they just want you to do your job and go home for the day. And statistically speaking, men are significantly less likely to engage in workplace drama. Not only that, there's a significant percentage of men outright avoiding women because they've had such bad experiences with women in the workplace. I would be one of those guys. I've had female coworkers accuse me of all kinds of insane things that were absolutely untrue. And the number of women that have done it to me as well is also terrifying, because it's not a small number. Continuing on, we have an article here from the Daily Mail. Doctors warn U.S. is barreling towards same fertility crisis as Japan, where 1 in 10 men in their 30s are virgins and a third of women will be childless. Although, actually, as we saw earlier in the Morgan and Stanley study, it's actually in 2018, 41% of women in America are childless. So we actually have more childless women here in America than Japan does. But this study is more so on the birth rates of each country rather than, other stuff. But yeah, this article is from September 1st of 2023, so not that long ago. Really, the important parts here are the graphs. That's all I'm going to be showing. So this first graph here, it shows, births, the birth rate, the death rate, and the percent change in the birth, or the population percentage change in the yellow line. So the deaths are the dashed red line, births are dashed blue. And as you can see, in 2021, the deaths and the births have almost intersected each other. And if current trends continue, then very soon the death rate is going to exceed the birth rate, at which point population percent change will start going negative. And you can see that very clearly with the O line on the graph. It's almost at zero in 2021. So we might even be at zero already with it being 2024. But yeah, this is a terrifying trend if you actually want to have Social Security in the future, because the population is shrinking, not expanding. The article also provides this wonderful picture of the percentage change in fertility rate since 2005. And I'm not surprised at all by a lot of these states, especially the more liberal ones having a massive percentage change in their fertility rates, like California and those other liberal states. I am a little surprised about New York not having a larger percentage change, but it is interesting how Florida and Texas are up there with like somewhere between like 16 to 20% percentage change in fertility rate. I did not expect that. Next, we have a study done by the UK Parliament. The prevalence of sexually transmitted infections in young people and other high-risk groups. This is a House of Commons committee report with recommendations to government. The government has 2 months to respond. 5th report session 2023-2024. So this was published on March 26th of 2024. They had an interesting graph here, I thought, that shows the different age groups and the number of gonorrhea diagnoses over the years. As you can see, there's a slow increase, and then there's a spike in 2019, and then there's a massive drop-off, probably from the pandemic. But then around 2021, the massive spike continues and starts hitting all-time highs again for all age groups. Very, very interesting graph. But the real gold nugget in this research here is this graph right here. Figure 4, rates of new STIs per 100,000 residents by age group for those aged 15 to 65 or 64 years old only, and gender in London 2021. So this is just a study done on the London population in 2021, but I would say this is probably data that you can extrapolate out to other major cities around the world, because they're all very similar. Not only that, I've also seen other studies, I'll get into that in a second, but basically, this graph, as you can see here, it breaks down the population into age groups, and then it tells you the number of thousands of people that get diagnosed per year per 100,000 in the population in London for STIs. What I found to be the real interesting point here, because I couldn't find anywhere in this data where they added up all the numbers and told you the total rate per 100,000, but you can look at this graph and do your own math and figure it out. So I came up with 19,500, so we're just going to round up to 20,000. So we got about 20,000 out of every 100,000 people get diagnosed with an STI every year in London. That's 1 out of every 5 people. And that's not saying that your chances of getting an STI are 1 out of 5, but it's basically saying that because this is based off of an annual rate, because this is once a year, so the number of people, because I've seen studies where the number of people in total that have had an STI is somewhere of like 1/3 of all people, which is kind of believable when you realize that about 1/5 of all people in London get diagnosed with an STI every single year. Because think about it, if each person in London only got one STI each year, then this could only continue for 5 years before the entire population of London got diagnosed with an STI. So what this actually means is that there's a percentage of the population that just keeps on getting STIs over and over and over again. Yeah, just keep that in mind, guys. Wrap it up when you're out there, because if you're messing around in a major city, there's a 1 out of 5 chance that she might have something. Next, we have an article by Tech Report by this woman here titled OnlyFans Statistics 2024, Exploring the Platform's Users, Creators, and Earnings. And I found this to be a very insightful article with a lot of statistical data that really helped people understand the OnlyFans market and who's using it and who's making content on the platform. So let's get into it. Oh yeah, before we get into it, this article was posted April 17th, 2024, so that was like about a month ago, less than a month ago. So very, very recent data here. All right, key OnlyFans statistics to know in 2024. Number of registered users. OF has 120 million registered users. They have over 2 million content creators. They have 420 million monthly active users. They have 1.25 million daily active users. Their OnlyFans net revenue in 2020 was 375 million, increasing to an estimated 2.5 billion by 2022. OnlyFans has paid out over $5 billion to creators since its inception, and the top earners on OnlyFans are reportedly making over $200,000 per month, though they could be making much more. How much does the average person on OnlyFans make? Many creators have used OnlyFans to monetize their content and connect with their fans more intimately. How much does the average OnlyFans person make? The top earners on OnlyFans make $100,000 or more monthly. OnlyFans deducts a 20% fee from every subscription. Another survey found that the average OnlyFans creator earns around $180 a month. And I've even seen other studies that suggest that that can be as low as $53 per month for the average OnlyFans content creator. That's right, you heard it. Most of the women that are out here posting their beehole on OnlyFans are only making $180 a month, possibly as little as $50 a month. The most popular OnlyFans creators take the majority of the platform's earnings. According to a 2020 article by Thomas Hollins, the top 1% of OnlyFans accounts make 33% of all the income on the platform, while the top 10% earn 73%. So the top 10% of girls on OnlyFans make 3/4 of all of the money on OnlyFans. OnlyFans user statistics. OnlyFans monthly traffic volume was 1.06 billion in February 2023. The average OnlyFans user is 29 years old. The average income of an OnlyFans user is $42,000. 68.9% of users are likely to be white. 89.5% are likely to be married. Next, we have some graphs about some of the statistics. First one on the left, by age group, we have subscribers in pink compared to content creators in blue. And this is by age group 18 to 24. It's about 40%. And obviously, as you can see, the older people get, the less they drop off. OnlyFans is mostly a young people's game. Once you hit about 35, it significantly drops off. By gender, 87% of the users on OnlyFans are male, 10% are female. That is not surprising at all that OnlyFans is 90% male. By country, the United States has the largest percentage portion at 45% of the user base for OnlyFans, not surprising. OnlyFans saw a significant increase in use during lockdowns, with use numbers increasing to 120 million, with these users spending 2.4 billion on the platform in 2020. OnlyFans creator statistics. As of May 2021, OnlyFans has over 2 million creators registered on its platform. The real interesting part that I found here is how many content creators are on OnlyFans. In August 2021, there are over 130 million users and 2 million content creators on OnlyFans. But even more interesting down here in this pie chart is 4% of American adults are planning to become an OnlyFans content creator. And so we can assume that almost all of them are likely to be women, because men are not likely to be ones in this line of work. And if 4% of the adult population in America is planning on that, well, then we can divide the adult population by 50%, and that's men. So 4% of the total population would be 8% female, assuming all the numbers stayed the same. So about 8% of all women in the United States want to become OnlyFans content creators. Or no, they say they are planning to become OnlyFans content creators. That's right. You saw that statistic right. Almost 1 out of every 10 women in America plan on becoming an OnlyFans content creator, which just makes it so laughable when people say, go out there and find a good woman. 8% of women are literal pay-to-play women of the night. Now, moving on to types of creators on OnlyFans. Many creators on the platform create adult content, but some produce non-adult content, such as cooking or fitness videos. Yeah, that's just BS, because, well, let's go look at how much is in each category. Oh, that's right. 98% of all content on OnlyFans is adult content. 98%. So we might as well just ignore the other 2%, because it's not really relevant to the 98% of what's going on here. Because we all get it. People use OnlyFans to just make money off of monetizing their videos and stuff. But it's 98% corn. And final part of this article we have here, which I found to be the most interesting part of the entire article. Most OnlyFans users are men, obviously. According to 2023 data published by the marketing research platform GetNux, most OnlyFans content creators are women, with men making up only 29%. And that's after the number of male creators increased by 450% during the pandemic, particularly between 2020 and 2021. But the more interesting part is down here at the bottom. According to a 2022 paper published in the Archives of Sexual Behavior, the average male OnlyFans user is likely white, married, and heterosexual. Additionally, a little over 1/3 of respondents identified as bisexual. Most surprisingly, almost 90% of OnlyFans users in the survey were married. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is not the lonely, single, young men that can't get a girlfriend out here that are the ones who are paying for all of these OnlyFans models and all of this corn and all of this degeneracy. It is married men that are paying for all of this degeneracy. And one has to ask the question, why would married men be doing that? Because if you have a wife, wouldn't the real thing be better? Like, obviously it is, but why are married men the 90% of the customer base for this type of content? Well, we have an article for that. By Relate, over a quarter of relationships are sexless. This was released Thursday, September 20th, 2018, so I'd be willing to bet these statistics are even higher if the study was done today. A new survey by Grandsnet and Mumsnet in association with Relate has revealed an ultimate taboo, the truth about sex and the lack of it in relationships. Over a quarter, 29% of Grandsnet and Mumsnet users currently in relationships say that their relationship is sexless according to the official definition. No sex at all in the past year, or fewer than 10 times in the past year. 20% say they've had sex fewer than 10 times, and 8% say they've had no sex at all over the past 12 months. Age seems to play a strong part, with the number of people saying they are in sexless relationships growing steadily throughout the age groups. Those who are in sexless relationships included 18% of those under 30, 25% of those in their 30s, 28% of those in their 40s, 36% of those in their 50s, and 47% of those aged 60 and older. 29% of all relationships are sexless. And of those sexless individuals, 2/3 of them have had sex less than 10 times in the past year, and then 1/3 of them have not had sex at all in the past year, along with the fact that in relationships with people age 60 and older, there is almost a 50% chance it will be a sexless relationship. That is absolutely terrifying as a man. Almost 1/3 of all relationships are sexless. Well, no wonder there's so many men out here, married men out here, that are paying for the girlfriend experience from all of these OnlyFans content creators. And, as a former OnlyFans content creator manager myself, I can confirm that yes, the statistic of almost 90% of all of the customers of OnlyFans and all that online content pay-to-play type of stuff, yes, it absolutely is almost completely all married men. So yeah, guys, that's just a quick overview and a quick little dip into the current metaphor of the so-called dating pool, just to get your feet wet with some of the statistics as to what's actually going on here. Obviously, there's tons more studies, there's tons more data, there's tons more to go into. I didn't even go into all of the stats and all of the stuff in each of the articles and studies that I brought up, which is why I will be leaving them linked in the description for everyone to check out themselves so that you can do your own research. And not only that, you can also go look into the parts that I didn't cover. And hopefully that helps everybody get a better understanding as to what's going on here. And if you're interested more in this type of content, then I hope this gives you a good start to getting some research in onto this, because there is quite a bit of stuff going on here, and it is very interesting, I would say, once you truly understand what's happening. So if you learned something today, make sure you leave a like on this video, subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to follow me on Rumble.